today we brought in a certified holistic health coach, a personal trainer, and an entrepreneur who built her business around the science of making people sweat. My body starts sweating when I'm in the locker room, about to go in.
I'm up. You're going to the back next time.
That's actually more torture than anything.
I know nothing.
Namaskray, that crazy in me honors the crazy in you.
You have to mentally put yourself in that
These
position.
skills are badass, but like,
Yeah, exactly.
that's like in a different level.
All right, so let's start with the benefits of hot exposure. What are they? Why do people need to know about it?
Well, the first thing I tell people when they ask what the deal is with the hot room is that I tell them that it's going to help them reach their goals faster, their body fat goals faster. So for me, that's one of the things that really surprised me with working out in the hot room is when I initially got introduced to hot Pilates, actually, because I took bikram yoga for years before that, but it was actually hot Pilates where I started seeing massive changes in my body. I was actually training for a fitness show. I was training for the Arnold Amateur. And so, I was full-time personal training.
Matt's training for that too. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
I'm training for that.
And I was doing 5-day body splits, which is like the maximum, amount of lifting that you'll pretty much do as a human being if you're trying to reach results.
Right. Any more than
so
that.
I was doing those 5-day body splits, and then I started teaching hot Pilates across the street at a little studio there. And I could not believe how sore I was.
Really?
Yeah, just from the increased range of motion. Because
That's
of the
wild.
heat, your muscles get warmer. You're able to, your ligaments, your tendons, everything kind of loosens up and gets more blood flow.
Definitely know that feeling.
Yeah, you're able to get more range of motion. So you're activating more muscle fibers and you're able to get more results. So I was just like, couldn't believe how sore I was. I thought I was doing the maximum possible. And it also did help me, lose body fat from being pregnant that I was trying to lose, as well from my second baby. And actually my first baby. I did use the hot room.
No, it's
after
okay.
my second
We don't have
as
to
well.
remember how many kids
I
we
know,
have. Like, not that
It's
important.
been so long. I've been in the hot room for a very long time now.
So it's the weight loss is the number one thing. And now, Jordan, I know that you have experienced weight loss. I've been to a few of these classes, so I can tell you what they're like, but I can't go through the same transformation you did. What's the story with your weight loss? And
Basically, I was 280 at one point. And
Wow.
started going back to the gym every single day, working out, 6 days a week. And I was losing a lot of weight, but the key thing is once I started doing hot Pilates and getting in a hot room, my body fat was disappearing and I was leaning out super quick by doing all the different movements, sweating more. I'd run 3 miles on a treadmill and I barely sweat.
Yeah.
I do 10 minutes in her class and I'm drenched.
Yeah, I hear you. No, my body starts sweating when I'm in the locker room, about to go in. Like, I think that my brain is already preparing itself.
You have to
because-
mentally put yourself
Yeah.
in that position to actually step foot into the room, start sweating, looking
Right,
at the
for
mat,
sure.
and you're like, oh my God, what am I getting ready to do? And you're totally drenched drinking your water before class even starts.
So what's different in your mind? What do you think to yourself now versus your first few times? Like, what's changed in your mentality?
I think first couple of times I was scared just because everybody else
Yeah.
in the room was in better shape than me. And
That's how I felt
there are
too.
a few guys that do the class, but usually it's a lot of girls that do the class. And the first thing I'm thinking is, man, I got to keep up.
Right.
The first thing that crossed my mind when I got in the class.
Can't embarrass myself in front of all these girls.
Myself being in that class, but it's very challenging, and the best thing I like about it is every single time I go, I learn something new.
What about joint lubrication and the kind of like stiffness and soreness that you might get from weightlifting? Do you think it helps with any of that kind of recovery?
Absolutely. So when you get hot, your capillaries expand, and so you're getting more blood flow into even your small ligaments and tendons, obviously in your muscles as well, but your tendons and ligaments don't get as much blood flow as your muscles do. Ligaments get less and tendons get even less than that. So by increasing the capillary action, that's getting blood flow in there, and so you're able to. A lot of people have injuries in where their ligaments are in their joints and the tendons. And so it just helps get that lubrication in there, and you're able to get higher levels of flexibility and get deeper into the postures, the exercises, which is going to activate
Yeah,
more
it definitely
muscle
feels. So that is what feels right, is that if you have warm muscles, they stretch further. Is that science or is that just what it feels like? Do they stretch more?
Yeah, definitely, because there's more blood flow and oxygen in there. So they're able to open up.
Gotcha. And you can verify this. You're
I've
more
actually-
flexible
I've
now?
actually, thank God. I've actually noticed by weightlifting and doing her class that doing her class has actually made me more flexible to the point that I'm lifting heavier,
No, you're saying it actually helps with
Muscle growth.
strength training.
with my strength, lifting weights, I actually can lift heavier because I'm more flexible and I'm able to pump more when I do certain type of exercises.
That's interesting.
But her class with flexibility has absolutely helped with that.
Okay, because I would think that maybe it would help you get skinny, but also kind of tinier muscles. But you're saying it can help you lift more weight because you can stretch better and recover better. So it's actually leading to more
And not as sore. That's a big
more
thing.
size. Right.
Definitely.
And there's
definitely not
actually
sore.
a scientific reason for that.
Lay it on me.
So,
I'm all
and I
about it.
tell people like in class, and this is why I got so sore when I first started, because when you're lifting, you want to, there's a certain percentage that you want to stretch. They're called sarcomeres.
Oh, cool word. Matt, can you Google that?
I don't even know how to spell it.
See what a sarcomere
So
is.
you want to stretch it to a certain point to get and this also goes in, like, say if you lunge and you jump and you're going to jump as far as you can, like a long jump person. Like you want to stretch the muscle to like a certain optimal amount to get the highest contraction. So that kind of ties into what Jordan's saying, because he's more flexible. He was able to tap into that maximal contraction.
Because it would be hilarious if you did long jumping in there. But we did some jumping. We did some like hopping around, which I remember. And I was like, all right, this is what everyone's doing. Then this is what I got to do.
Oh yeah, we do the hit intervals, do a little plyo jumps, hit intervals.
Nice.
Absolutely. So those spike your heart rate really, really high.
For sure.
Yeah.
Especially the jump squats with the band around your knees. Those are the best.
Sweating everywhere, jump squats.
Those are the absolute
bands
tough.
around the knee.
Yeah, those are great.
Okay, so let's touch on the mental aspects of it. Do you think it improved your willpower and your kind of just ability to handle 60 minutes of heat?
It was tough. It's definitely a challenge at first. I mean, it took me probably, a good couple of weeks to actually get adjusted to the heat. The workout is tough enough, without the heat.
Right. Yeah, I
for
bet.
60 minutes, for 60 minutes doing push-ups and squats
Sounds
and
brutal.
lunges.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
That's, in a 70-degree room, that's tough. But to do it in 103 degrees,
Yeah,
it's
you might as well
very
just be out there in the
challenging.
desert, like running
Absolutely
around.
challenging. But once you can get through the heat aspect of it, you really don't think about it. You're just focused on your routine.
But you're closer to becoming a Navy SEAL now than when you started.
Thank God. Yeah.
Like maybe a little bit in a long journey, but still, Navy SEALs.
I still have a ways to go to be.
You ever had a
SEAL.
Navy SEAL come in? What about military special ops?
No.
Oh, that would have been
haven't.
interesting.
I actually there was a member at the club that stopped in to say hello, but he never took the class.
Oh yeah, dude, he wasn't ready for that. Are you
He
kidding?
wasn't ready. I was
2
like,
tours in Afghanistan. He's not there yet.
Yeah.
Like that class. Just kidding. But yeah, that would be.
I mean, Navy SEAls are badass, but like,
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
like in a different level.
But it's almost scary, right? If they're going to go into a room that they don't know, if they're like, what if this is harder? Then they don't want to be that
For
person in the
sure.
room,
Right, and there's some skinny woman in the corner, like who's worked through all of it, and they're like, "Nope, I don't need to mess with that."
It's too risky for the ego.
Right.
Exactly. So I wanted to mention, so I referenced a lot of things in preparation for it, but Dr. Rhonda Patrick, who is a big Joe Rogan guest, has just released all this information about studies that were done in Finland about saunas. And I feel like because it's a hot environment, I thought some of it might be relevant because it was super good. So a new study which had 2,000 people in it, and it was done in Finland, and it was 20 years of following people who went to the sauna frequently, and they were grouped into one that was 2 to 3 times a week, and another group that was 4 to 7, and then another group that didn't go. And after 20 years, they found that the people who went 2 to 3 times a week were 27% less likely to die from cardiovascular disease and 34% less likely to die from all-cause mortality. But it does seem like it's fairly dose dependent, because the ones that went 4 to 7 times a week, so essentially you as a trainer going almost every day, 4 to 7 times, right? Probably. And they're 50% less likely to die from cardiovascular disease and 40% with all-cause mortality. So, and this was people who did more than 11 minutes. So it seems like the longer you're in there, the more frequently, the less likely you are to have cardiac problems and even just just diet less. So does that, I don't know if you'd heard any of those studies, but what do you know about longevity and kind of just heat or at least hot yoga kind of?
I mean, just from personal experience, it's definitely slowed down the aging process 100%. So I feel better than I felt when I was 27 right now.
You
and
feel
I'm 41. So.
okay.
I need to take a lot more
Yeah.
classes then if that's helping with the aging process.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're both reverse aging.
I hope so.
Yeah. And you both do hot yoga. Could be correlational, could be causational,
I mean,
but still, it's good to know.
I'm sure the green juices and essential oils help too, but those are like those are like the 3 keys.
Yeah, the diet. Yeah, you would say, what are the 3 keys? The diet and the just general exercise, or you're saying the hot exercise, and diet?
I call it sweat, superfoods, and essential oils.
Break it down for me.
So sweating in the hot room.
Okay.
And then essential oils, I take those internally. And for anti-aging, they're super high antioxidants. And also some of them assist in apoptosis as well. I know we had talked about that. And
Apoptosis is when cells want to die, right?
it's when something causes the cell to die that's actually harmful. A harmful cell causes a
Gotcha.
harmful cell to die, so it's not damaging your body.
You look up apoptosis memes. I feel like that could be a thing.
So a lot of times, like a cancer cell, it becomes immortal. It won't die, so it just like keeps spreading in the body.
Right.
So there are certain compounds that will go in the body and find those and kill them. So that could be something that could help against.
I have, I do have some research about that too. But yeah, they were saying apoptosis is the death of a cell. But some cells, I think they're called senescent cells. Can you check that? I might be wrong on that term, but it's the cells that are just like, they call them like zombie cells. Like they're dead because they're not doing anything useful for the body, but they're not dead because they're not gone. So they can just sometimes make crap and just stick around in there.
I'm sure there's ones that do that too. There's all kind of, so it's like cleansing the body of debris and junk.
Yeah, that's like fat. Yeah, I think fasting does something like that too.
Yeah, the intermittent.
Okay, so let's
fasting.
talk. So if Matt has not been to a class before, I've only been to a handful, loved them, but I also am still a little unsure on the right placement in the room. So do you basically encourage your best students to be at the very front, or how does it naturally play out, the positioning of your students?
I mean, right now, I just let people walk in and go wherever resonates with them.
You don't rank them all and say you have earned one spot up. You now need to go back one spot.
Yeah, I have like a grading system. Up, you're going to the back next
I just have one rule is with the mirror, you don't want to be in the middle of the crack.
Right.
Exactly.
So that's the only thing you need to do. Either to the left of the crack, the right of the crack, but never directly in the middle.
Yeah, it makes it hard to balance.
Yeah.
You cannot balance if you're staring in the middle of the crack.
Okay, so avoid the crack and then make sure that you're in the right position in the room. So that's hilarious though, because you would never go up to like, Courtney, I'm sorry, you haven't performed well. You fell over in Shavasana or whatever.
Well, what my background is with Bikram yoga. I started Bikram yoga about 17 years ago when I moved to Vegas. It was a stinky little room with smelly carpet, and I showed up and I was like, let's do this thing, and
it was love ever since.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I was hooked after that. And so then it evolved. Then Vegas started opening hot Pilates studios, and then they started adding hot barefoot boot camp. And of course the hot yoga has always kind of been around, but they added the vinyasa flow instead of hatha, which is Bikram. So, anyways, in Bikram, they only want you to be in the front if you are not going to sit down throughout the whole class.
Oh yeah, it is a no-no to be sitting
I'm
down.
like that type A. Like I'm in the front. I'm not sitting down. Like it's you like help other people, show them the form, and also you kind of leading the class.
Yeah,
through,
for
like,
sure.
a
No, I
tough
definitely reference people because sometimes we're on the side and I'm like, I can't see you up on the platform, so then I've got to look over.
Yeah, and then
It
if
can
you want to
definitely be
give up
good.
and you're in the front, you're less likely to give up because you have like social pressure behind you.
But
So
yeah,
it's-
exactly.
Yeah. You're
Plus,
like,
I
I'm not giving up. They'll think I'm a wuss.
Yeah, that's what I think too. When I'm in the back not performing well, I'm like, at least I make them feel
I
better.
purposely go to the front just so it motivates me to keep going.
Yeah.
Oh
Exactly.
yeah, you want that pressure, huh?
Absolutely.
That social pressure on you.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm mostly hide in the back so far.
Yeah,
but
the two on the
maybe
side
I
of
gotta
the
be
podium.
bold and go up there.
It was like the right hand and the left, like the right wing woman,
They're your
right,
two?
right wing man, left. Yeah. So those are like the key players right there.
Give them the high fives, encourage the rest of the classroom.
But as the room does get fuller, there will be people all lining the front. And that's when sweat gets all over the mirrors. You have to clean them really good.
Oh, I never thought about that. What's that process like? Squeegee?
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't have a squeegee, but we just spray it and,
Well, first off, what's the difference between Bikram and what you do? And then what do you remember about that first Bikram experience? How did it lead into where you are now?
So Bikram, it's a 90-minute class, and it's typically about 105 degrees in there or more. Our studios here, I mean, it would get really, really hot, and it's about 40% humidity. It can go up, depending on the studio. We have a lot of diehards.
How much humidity is normal air?
I mean, it'll range from 40 to 60. Yeah. They say 40, but I know that we've been way higher than that.
I like it actually, but it feels like Florida or something. But then we're in Las Vegas where it's so dry, so I don't know.
Yeah, at Alchemy, we'll go up to 60 and then we'll turn it off. Because it stuff starts like condensating after that. So the first experience in Bikram, it was this Russian instructor. She was very strict.
Ooh.
And it's like, you don't mess around in there. It's almost like a drill sergeant
For
type.
sure, man.
And I just have this personality where I'm such a like creator and like always just create. Like I kind of like to show up and just tell me what to do. I'm going to crush it. Like, let's go, and you're just not thinking about it. So I like to veer off from like my normal personality.
Right. But she was doing the drill sergeant ththing.
Mm-hmm. So I liked it. And some people don't like that, if they are
want to be able to
sensitive or whatever, they might not
Or
like
soft.
that.
You was it you sensitive people? Time to
Yeah,
toughen up here.
it's definitely I would say a type A type of workout.
Okay.
Yeah, probably so. But I'm sure there's plenty of type Bs that go to.
For sure,
But
yeah.
the hardcore ones where it's like stricter and even like the boot camp and the harder ones, probably more type A, more athlete type mentality, And then the yoga and the chill ones more like appeal to people who like just kind of like to go with the flow.
Okay, so that after a few, I guess, years of being under her, you then thought to yourself, I'm ready to start my own business? Or how did you go from there to, owning your own entrepreneur?
So that experience, I only had that instructor, I think, one time. There was like so many different studios in Vegas, different Bikram studios. And actually one of my best friends, she owns the Vegas Yoga, which is the only one in Las Vegas that still has like the true Bikram classes, 26 postures times 2. And so, I mean, we would just take classes. I've pretty much been to every studio. I went to, as I mentioned before, I went across the street to a little boutique studio across from LVAC when I was training there. And I actually created their teacher training program. And that was really my first experience teaching the hot Pilates style. So time evolved, and then I moved over to Summerlin, came over here. So I've taught at the different studios. I opened studios here, the big ones. And then when everything shut down, we kind of were left wandering around and everything got reset. And then I ended up feeling a little bit sad and depressed because that was like the peak of me teaching the class. There was 65 plus people in there. We were crushing it. It was amazing. And then when everything shut down, we just lost all of that, our community, like the people. And so then little by little, I started to just get back into classes and went to a different studio up the street just to get in the cardio. But it was different from the way that I teach because I infuse like yoga into all the classes, even the hard classes.
So you have that, you wanted to merge what you thought would be the ultimate types of classes to do it in the heat like that.
So I was just showing up and going hard, and it was great for cardio, but I did injure myself a couple times. And so because the stretching wasn't like where I normally what I was used to. And then I ended up going to this, the gym to Kilo. And I was actually going to start my personal training business back there as an independent. And then the VP showed me the fitness room and was like, yeah, we're not using it if you know anyone that wants to lease this room, monthly.
Yeah.
And then let me know. And I was like, yeah, that's a no-brainer. Like, I want that room.
Yeah,
It's
for
amazing. So it just came out the blue, you know?
So where's everybody's ancestors from? Do you feel like you were meant for the heat somehow? Like, is everybody...
I was the opposite. I'm actually from Colorado. And
Oh,
grew up
oh
in
my God, from the
Colorado.
snow?
And I love the
How
cold.
could you have betrayed the
I
snow?
love the house being 70 degrees during the day. I actually prefer being cold. So it's definitely a different experiment.
Oh, so have you heard of that word hormesis? Do you know what that is?
I looked it up.
Okay,
I'd
that's
never
okay.
heard of that.
So I'll throw this out there. So hormesis is the concept. We actually have a book up there called Anti-Fragile. They're similar words for a concept where the body, if it's stressed a little bit, which is what weightlifting is, what going into heat is, it's beneficial to a point, right? Like too much heat and you can die, too much exercise and you can pull a muscle. But if you do it constantly a little bit, the body just, its baseline moves up and moves up and moves up and becomes better and better. So it seems like when you put yourself into these hot and cold situations, you're experiencing hormesis. So do you try to go the other direction with cold at all? Do you recommend like people take cold showers afterwards, or what do you think about moving the baseline in the other direction?
I mean, I've read plenty of research saying, that both are beneficial. I personally am not a cold person. Ever since I sprained my ankle really bad with playing basketball when I was in high school, and I had to do ice baths, and it was so much pain.
I was gonna say, what do you remember about those?
So much pain.
It's like all pain.
I thought I was gonna die. It hurt so bad.
That's what it's like for us
felt
going into hot classes
nice.
at first, and
I
then
used
we
to do
get
the
better.
cryo chamber, the cryotherapy.
Oh,
I used to
I've
do it
seen
twice
that
a week. I'd go in
thing.
there, be wearing nothing but boxers.
That's not even ice
Stand in
bath.
it for like 2 minutes. Your body temperature gets to about 20 degrees. You get out of there, you're shivering, you're screaming. You put on little, mittens and your little your robe, and they're like, when I'm still freezing. Oh, it's gonna take 5 minutes to warm up. I'm not warming up. Like, this is horrible.
There's no
So
way
I can't do that ever again.
Do you look at that? So it was like that, one of those pods that you would like.
Absolutely, you literally stand in it for like 2 or 3 minutes.
Oh my gosh, you look like
And,
Walt Disney being frozen.
Iced
or
up like a
something.
popsicle.
I used to do that.
That's a misnomer.
Pretty consistently for about 6 months, and that's tough.
I just
Yeah.
like,
That
it
looks
just looks.
tough.
Yeah, that guy just like.
He's not enjoying
That's
it
actually
at
more
all.
torture than any.
I've read people have amazing results on that, and same thing with the heat. So I think like whatever fits your personality. But like if I go to the spa, what I love to do is called hydrotherapy. So what you do is you go get in like a steam room or the sauna for like 5 minutes. Gets super hot. And you can drink a lot of water while you're in there. And then you go to a very cold shower, or you can do a cold plunge. So you go hot, cold, hot, cold. You go back and forth 5 minutes each for like an hour. You can do it as long as you want. But I would try and do like 6 rounds, maybe like 12 total. And by the end of that, and drinking a lot of water, you feel like you're floating, but your skin looks so good because when you get in the heat, you're shunting blood to all your, muscles and all the ligaments and tendons. And then when you get in the cold, it's pulling it back, vasodilation, and pulling everything back. So you're getting all this fresh blood going back and coming back. And so it's really good for healing
I could
your body.
imagine that. But anyways, I wanted to talk about sweat interests me quite a bit. I was wondering what happens like inside the body when we're sweating in terms of like, do you think any heavy metals, or if we're eating plastics or we're breathing pollution, do you think the extra sweat is somehow helping us get that out of our body instead of just through like normal body, like pee and poo or whatever?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of research that shows that they've found heavy metals, arsenic, mercury, lead, all the icky stuff, and also PCBs that are found in plastic. And they actually, even just drinking water out of plastic, you're actually consuming microplastic.
Wait, they found this in the sweat? You've read something where people studied the sweat?
Yeah.
Oh,
They found it in the
cool.
sweat
That's
and
insane.
in higher amounts than what they ever would have found it in their urine or blood. Because typically with heavy metals, you have to consume like a heavy metal chelator, such as like chlorella, cilantro, spirulina, those dense green supplements to like bind to the heavy metal and take it out of your body.
Right.
So the fact that sweating as being found in sweat is
That's interesting.
very beneficial because those things have extremely harmful
So do you still
effects.
recommend that they take those things to bind to it and then it goes through the sweat? Or were you saying just the sweat alone is probably taking care of it now?
Yeah, I mean, I do
Or
it
just
all.
do both? Yeah.
I do
Because
it
like
all,
if it
but-
goes out for the sweat, good. If it goes out the other way, good too.
Yep, absolutely. So, and there's been times when I would like smell sweat and it smelled like,
Can you smell if someone's
not really
healthy?
anymore because I've sweat so much.
Drink tequila before class and see
That
what you
is.
smell.
What do you think? Can you tell us?
Garlic, you can smell.
What about drinking though? A guy,
I
if
can
he
tell
comes,
you that for a fact.
you can smell.
If
You can smell
drink
it in
the
your
night
own.
before and you do a class, you can smell everything you drank the night before, and
No.
everybody else can, by the way, too.
And normally you don't smell it as much, but when the class is over and it's been a big class and someone walks in, you're like, yep, that
You
was
gotta
a
charge-
Sunday morning class.
Why don't you charge an extra
Some of the
fee?
conversations
If
you have
they
after
s-
classes.
yeah,
What
if
did you
they're
have for
like-
dinner last night? Yeah.
They're like asparagus, garlic, and wine. Yeah, I know, bro.
knew the
I
wine.
worked
We
out
knew
right
the
next
wine.
to you.
Yeah.
Like I smell your sweat.
But you know, it's better than keeping it inside, I guess, right? I mean, your hangover will go way faster.
I guess for you when you're cleaning the window afterwards, and you're like,
I
oh,
purposely made sure I went to class if I knew if the night before I was drinking, or if I was drinking all day. I made sure I went to a hot class just
because
to
you
sweat
knew
it
that
out.
was going to help take
I
care
knew
of it.
I knew it was all coming out if I went to class.
Yeah.
Yep. And then you feel better faster. You get back to
You think
homeostasis
helps
faster.
helps with
Oh,
a
yeah.
hangover, massive hangover? You'd still show
Absolutely.
up to class.
Have to go to class the next day. That is a must.
You've seen someone with a hangover? in your
No one's
class?
ever. I mean, I personally have a rule if I'm super hungover, which is not very often like that. That I would never, even through all these 17 years of hot classes, I would not. But if you've just had a few drinks and you're like, but you're still feeling like pretty good, like you can
Yeah.
hang, but you don't want to like stress out your heart if you're like super messed up. Like, you
Yeah, I
know,
could see
it
that.
depends, I think, what level of hangover you have because your body is definitely
Right.
struggling. But if you just had a few drinks,
Yeah,
you're
just
fine.
a couple shots of tequila to get some headshots for a YouTube channel, and that's
Yeah.
that's all.
You'd be fine.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine. All right, so let's talk about jargon. So what, Matthew? Do you know what jargon do you know for like yoga hot studio?
I know nothing.
Maybe we can Google see what
Oh,
top
wait,
list is. What?
well, yeah,
Like,
let's look
okay,
at
so let's say, especially Matt, he hasn't done any of this. What, like if you use these terms like savasana and others,
that. Asana. What's asana?
or how do you say it?
Asana.
Oh, asana. my
Yeah,
bad.
or wait, is that the right? Yeah, whatever it is. Walk us through the terms that we need to know for your class.
Okay. So I never say asana. I mean, these are definitely a lot of yoga terminology since we're definitely a little more fitness oriented at Alchemy. Like the Ignite and Chisel classes are more like the hot Pilates, the hot barefoot boot camp. And then
But you namaste at the end.
I do say namaste at the end.
Okay.
And then
Even after hit style training.
namaste basically means the light in me honors the light in you. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
just like a salutation to close the
Really?
class.
I was like bye or something.
No, but yeah,
Yeah.
when you hear that, class is over, bro.
I thought that too at first. I thought that's what it meant. It was see you later and get out.
I was like,
That's what I thought it meant. No,
Time
it's
to go.
actually not.
Yeah, and we have one, we say namaskray. That means the crazy in me honors the crazy in
Oh,
you.
namaskray.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a great one. What else you got for us?
So-
What other jargon do we need to know?
I mean, chaturanga. Yeah, that's a high plank to low plank push up. You're hovering the ground. And then shavasana is at the end of class, the dead corpse pose. You're just laying there like you're
Perfect,
dead
yeah.
with your
That's the
palms
great
up.
one.
and-
That's the best move of the class.
Yeah, of course. I agree.
So that's pretty much, I do tell people about Ujjayi breath at the end of class. When we're in Shavasana, basically when we're going into breath work, just to calm yourself down, you keep your lips closed and you inhale through your nose and then you exhale through your nose in Ujjayi breath. It's kind of firing up your inner fire without opening your mouth.
Gotcha. But you believe in the nose, out the mouth thing?
During class, yeah. And then when we're calming down and just kind of inhale for 3, hold it in for 3, exhale slowly for 3. It really calms your mind.
That would be, so you're probably at that point now, right? Where you're kind of breathing differently than you were at first, right?
Oh yeah. At first it was very heavy, And now it's more controlled breathing, and like Noelle just said, one in one way, out the other way.
Yeah, that's something
before
I could
it was
use a lot.
whatever way I can get it in and out. Just
For sure. Just like
but once you
no, Matt, in through the nose,
once
through the mouth.
once you get used to it, you can actually control all your movements, including your breathing. Which breathing is probably the most important part of class, actually.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's part I feel like I could definitely use a lot of work on. But I mean, especially when I hear you talking. You're working, you're sweating, you're a little bit out of breath, but you're talking. I'm not able to do that properly. So I know there's something going on with my overall fitness level there.
And that, I think that's just, as an instructor, comes with time. And then that's why I absolutely have to have a microphone. There's no way, because when you're trying to yell, you're like, and you're exerting all this energy. But when you have that mic, you can just use that top,
Have you had it break on you? Have you ever done a class without it?
Oh, yeah. There's been, when I first started teaching, the studios would not have mics. I ended up buying my own mic, bringing it in, trying to, even, threatening that OSHA standards would probably not allow it for our throat, because I lose my voice very easily from yelling over music and I like the music loud. So, I mean, we like it to be a party in there. We got the lights, the LED lights, we got the loud music. And so you have to have a good mic that's going to.
Music's very important too.
Yeah.
Music's
You think so?
Everything.
Big time. If the music is boring, there's no rhythm, there's no beat, you're in the class, you're like, man, when is this over?
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
Playlist is everything.
If you're focused on all your moves and you're listening to music and it has rhythm and you're into it, it just makes the class go that much quicker.
So let's talk to me about water. I'd like to hear both your experiences. What do you think, especially as a man, is it a lot more, or how much water do you need each day when you're going to these classes?
I mean, I drink a gallon a day. And the main reason I drink a gallon a day is because not only do I do her classes, but I also work out before I go to her class. So about a gallon a day.
That's crazy. So you're that guy who has the big thing with you?
I try not to carry a jug.
No, I mean, nothing wrong with it, but you just noticed it because you're like, that's a lot of water.
I used to be in an office with 5 other guys, and I used to walk around with a jug. And I took a beating from all of them back then. So I don't do that anymore. So now I've downgraded myself to the hydro flasks.
Oh, yeah. Well,
fill it up.
I don't know if you've seen the meme, but some of the big bodybuilders, they carry the I think it's a 5-gallon thing around, and they're just because it's heavy too. And it's
they just put it around their shoulder and walk around like this the whole time. Yeah, I've seen that.
And they're like, I got to drink that thing. What about how much water do you recommend for your students, and how much do you drink?
I always tell them 3 to 4 liters. So when I wake up, I fill up a mason jar, a liter, and then I put my little adaptogens in there for energy and just everything. It's like a superfood.
Adaptogens are like mushrooms, right? Are you like the little powders?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
So
the one I have, it's organic. It's by Koss. It has.
Is that to help with hydration or just help with overall health?
That one's just for energy, because I try not to drink coffee because it's acidic, even though I like it. I try and go a more alkaline route, because that does help with just overall wellness and anti-aging. But I do like to get up and get my energy going. I'm kind of like that person. I like to drink something that gets me bouncing off the walls, but I like for it to be smooth energy so I don't get anxiety.
Right.
So yeah, I drink that before class. It's a super healthy pre-workout, doesn't have sugar in it, so it doesn't spike my blood sugar, because I do intermittent fasting until around 1.
Oh, you're fasted when you do this sometimes?
Yeah.
You too? You're going in fasted?
I actually take the class. I don't eat before the class, just because if I eat before I work out, I feel like I just have too much food in my stomach.
Really?
Yeah, you feel
sick. If
sick.
I'm jumping up and down and doing burpees, it just
kind of makes sense, but it feels like you'd be so weak. But I guess you've just got used to having energy without food, huh?
Just used to it.
And it's a 9:30 class, because you normally do those at 6:30.
Yeah, I'm 6'5". Yeah, at the end of the day, I've definitely eaten plenty of food by then.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So fasting could be its own topic. I think that's interesting how the body can sort of adapt to eating its own fuel instead of eating it all the time. So a couple things I wanted to say also from Dr. Rhonda Patrick was, did you know that if you expose a fly, a little fruit fly, to heat for 70 minutes just one time, it extends their lifespan by 15%?
I never knew that.
Yeah,
it doesn't surprise me though.
Yeah, I mean, if it's flies, have you found that flies have you ever had a fly in your class? Does it live longer?
Never had a fly. We had a bumblebee try to come swinging in there when we were cleaning to open the balcony.
That thing must have lived forever with all that heat.
Yeah, we had to capture them though, unfortunately.
You're like, you should have died of old age by now, but it's the heat,
Can you imagine a bee swarming around in their turn class?
Oh, yeah. So she was also saying that the reason why they think it is extending the fly's life is because of something called heat shock proteins. And I guess these are, do you know anything about those?
I've heard of them.
So they're she was describing them as proteins that actually help other proteins keep their form. So our cells, they transcribe into, amino acids, and then the amino acids fold into proteins, and they do all these amazing things in our body, but they fall apart. And heat shock proteins, it seems like, are being shown to hold them together longer, which just means less recycling, meaning your longevity might go up. What about I don't know if you had any funny stories?
The only thing that ever happened was, because I always wear the Lululemon Aligns, is I wore like a rose color one to class one time, and because it's dark in there.
Was it glowing?
No, they thought I wasn't wearing anything because it was looked like skin color. So that was about it. They're like, oh my God, it took me a second to.
Just coming
funny.
in.
I mean, yeah.
All right, that's a good segue. So what's for a guy, what should I wear?
I go with Lulu's. Lulu top, Lulu shorts, lightweight,
Really?
breathable.
Dang.
Nothing heavy. Don't wear sweatpants and sweatshirt, obviously. I've seen a couple of guys actually come to class wearing sweats.
Unprepared.
Oh, one of the girls brought her husband. And
he didn't know?
He was wearing sweatpants.
I don't know how he even got through 10 minutes of that class. But
and then he didn't bring extra clothes either.
I made that mistake the first time.
So you have to have lightweight clothing. You got to have your mat.
So because I definitely need to get a better shirt because I get so sweaty, and I do bring a spare set of clothes. But one thing that was surprising to me is that when I leave the studio and then just a few minutes later, I just take my shirt off, it feels so cold. Like, I don't know if it just becomes cold because the air hits it, and then it just and I guess that's what sweat does, is it cools us off. So maybe when my shirt is covered with it, but yeah, do you notice that your clothes get really cold right after?
Oh yeah, I call it Antarctica out there. As soon as you open those doors, is Antarctica.
And it's I know this is normal temperature most of the time.
Yeah, I think it's a great feeling. I think it's absolutely amazing when you do that.
After an hour of being in there.
Honestly, the instructors lock the door and change inside the room because we aren't trying to be freezing.
Well, I know sometimes you give those washcloths or whatever that are icy right at the end of class, and I know the first time you handed them out, I didn't know what to do with them, and I saw the girl next to me just throw it on her face, and I was I thought that was crazy. Now I know that it's normal, but I was who's gonna throw this icy thing on their face? And I was I guess that's what's normal around here. So I guess you love that ukulele or eucalyptus, or the lavender. Yeah, lavender smelling.
Yeah. So it's calming in Shavasana with the breath work. It just kind of feeds into that relaxation.
So that's common. You throw that thing on the face?
Yeah, or your neck. So it's just it's like the ice cream of class, after you're just oh my God, I can't wait to get that lavender towel. Oh, it's sure. Like a reward, a treat.
Yeah. Okay, so for girls, you recommend Lululemon also? Mm-hmm. So across the board, we just, male or female, they just need to go to this website.
The Aligns,
something similar.
They're the most comfortable leggings I've ever used. The Aligns are great because they don't have seams. I can't even buy another brand now because they're uncomfortable. They dig into the sides of your body.
You're you've been spoiled.
Yeah, they're great. And for the hot room, they do, you have to separate your non-hot room and your hot room clothes because they do start to
What detergent do you use?
I just use a free and clear, and then I add an essential oil called Purify.
Oh, you're not just throwing in Tide or something like that? Even that part of your life is detoxed?
Oh, yeah. No chemicals there.
Dang.
There is this one detergent I found at Sprouts. I got to go get more of it. It's called Gunk Gone. I don't know. Anyways, it worked really good too.
Okay. Wow. I didn't think about that. I thought you were going to do something
with the Arm & Hammer.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah. I mean, these are so sweaty. They've got to smell, if you don't clean them properly. I mean, it's got to be.
I mean, Arm & Hammer makes a free and clear brand too. A free and clear line. It's just the perfumes. But yeah, I did find that lavender essential oil takes the smell out pretty good too.
Okay, that's good. I'll have to try some of that because right now I'm just using the basics.
Yeah.
Okay, so if somebody comes to class, they need to bring a mat. They should bring water, a towel because they sweat, And then no shoes. You like it to be either barefoot or those kind of socks with sticky things, right?
Yeah, I mean, most people, they could do this socks with if they want, but definitely no shoes.
Or
It'd
barefoot,
bring
yeah.
in germs into the room, and it's just like I
that
don't
makes
even
sense.
wear shoes in my house either.
Yeah, no,
I'm like,
I hear you.
they stay in the garage on this like cute little shelf.
Yeah, especially walking around. You don't bring that in.
But yeah, in there we leave all of our stuff and belongings outside, and just bring ourselves, and so it's not cluttered.
Just
and
bring your mental state. I like
Yep.
it. Yeah, you'll say at the beginning, like, I know you've got lots going on in your life, but now you've got an hour for yourself. You're like, okay, gotta let go.
Yep. Absolutely.
What mental preparation do you do before class?
Turn my phone off. It's the first thing I do. Leave it in the locker. Doesn't matter what's going on in the day. As soon as I get there and I start stretching before the class starts for the first 5 minutes, I know that I'm here. I need to detach
present?
myself from the world and focus on what I'm doing. If you're not focusing on what you're doing, that's how you hurt yourself.
Do you feel like you've successfully learned the skill to kind of
Absolutely.
disassociate with like whatever crazy thing just happened right before class and then pick it up again after?
Absolutely. I mean, it starts immediately after.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely.
That actually sounds like one of the most attractive things about doing it a lot would be that focus for me, actually. I mean, obviously the
flow
health
state.
benefits are the main thing, but just being able to.
That was one of the
slip it
benefits.
in
That was
out,
one of the
yeah.
benefits I liked about doing it later in the afternoon or later in the evening, is because I'm working all day, and then I know later in the afternoon or evening I detach myself from everything I'm doing with work.
Yeah.
I focus on the class, and then by the time I'm out of class, I'm ready to eat and go to bed.
Yeah, because with a regular yoga class, you can sit there and be like, "Oh my god, I have so much to do." But in hot yoga or like hot classes, you're kind of like,
Well, and the
I
other
need to
thing
focus.
too
Like,
is
what
when
am I
you're-
doing next? Like, it's
Survival.
weird.
The other
Yeah.
thing too is when you're at the gym and you're working out. I mean, everyone has their cell phone on.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
and,
a couple.
they're
Yeah, I do
sitting there,
12,
they
12
they're sitting on the
here.
little chest press machine. They do 2 pumps and they're on their phone for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Then they do 2 more pumps and they're on their phone for another 10 minutes.
That is so true.
Next
so
thing you know,
true.
45 minutes goes by. They've done 4 sets and
Right.
nothing's
No,
done.
I've seen that. And then someone comes up and like, "Are you done?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot. I've been here for like 30 minutes. Taking my phone."
That is definitely one thing I love about
No
the hot
phones. Yeah,
room
keep
is
it. Yeah.
yeah, like when you go in, it's definitely just the best anti-anxiety. Like you can walk in and feel out of sorts, stressed out, like pissed off about a phone call you just got off of, whatever. But by the end of class, it's just it's gone. It's like drained out of your pores.
Yeah. Stress is gone unless that bee's in there.
Yeah, at least
Get out,
temporarily,
get out.
you know,
He's trying to
until
Yeah.
you get back on your phone again. But
But still, having a little break like that it's a powerful tool. Okay, so let's talk. I guess let's just talk more. So you kind of talked about your weight loss story, but maybe we could just sort of expand on that, because it seems like people should know the full extent of how much weight they could lose.
I started teaching the hot Pilates classes after my first daughter, and I actually had gained over 65 pounds with her, had an emergency C-section. And so
Nice.
you can imagine I was like, and before that, I was like bikini modeling, all that stuff, and doing shows. So for me as a new mom, I was definitely distraught, and I just wanted to get back in shape. I wanted to get my personal training back going, my business. And so I started training, and I decided to compete in the Arnold Amateur. And so that was a lot of training. And so the hot room was really beneficial in helping reach those goals and burning off the body fat. And it's also so detoxifying. I mean, when you're pregnant, you have all these, just everything going on in your body. It just really helped get rid of all the junk. I mean, you're under anesthesia. I had to have an emergency C-section.
gosh.
So it's just all the stuff in your body and the toxins that are there. It helps like get rid of those. And also after class, your skin is damp. So you can take these white like rags and just like scrub your body, and it takes off like that top layer.
Oh, that top layer of skin?
Yeah. So it helps your skin like
I was
shrink
wondering about
down
that, if the skin
also.
looks more glowing afterwards. But yeah, I guess, it felt
Yeah,
like
especially
it could.
the
but I didn't know.
semi-rough ones, not the super fluffy ones. But if you get one that has texture to it, you can.
Yeah,
it feels
scrape
really
that,
good.
Scrape that dead layer off.
Yeah, I do that at the spa and at the sauna also. Just
Sense.
because it's kind of tickles all the sweat coming down, so you're just like scrubbing it off, and it's like.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's taking off that layer of skin so that your skin is healthy. It's promoting blood flow to your skin. But I ended up placing first in my height class at the Arnold Amateur, and I definitely, feel that the hot Pilates classes were a big part of that.
So Jordan, maybe you could tell us how long was your transformation and how, I don't know, how much could people like realistically expect if they're eating right and training right?
It took a few years. I mean, if you do it right, it takes a few years. You're not going to lose 100 pounds in 2 weeks. You need to set realistic goals, and then the first thing was really the diet. That was really the biggest part of losing weight, was really analyzing what you were eating and changing your diet to being healthy. Then obviously mixing the gym and Pilates in as well. I lost 100 pounds, but it took me about, 3-4 years to really do it right. Didn't do any surgeries, nothing like that. I was very fortunate. I didn't have any stretch marks, but it's funny because when I was going to the gym and then when I was starting to take hot Pilates, a lot of people are coming up to me like, wow, what are you doing? What are you doing differently?
What's the secret?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I want that in one day.
The secret is it's a process. It's just eating right, setting goals, and holding yourself accountable to them.
How was it? Like a linear loss where you felt like you were just losing the same amount of pounds the whole time, or was it just like like at first huge?
So I think the trickiest thing was when I changed my diet and I was working out 5-6 days a week. I got to a point where I flatlined. It's like I'm not losing any more weight. Like, why am I not losing any more weight? When I mixed in the hot classes with my workout, it pushed me over the top. I was starting to really drop a lot more body fat, and I was really leaning out a lot quicker. And the other thing is I was swimming. I swim a lot also, which is another great workout for your core and for also leaning out. One of my best friends is a swimmer, and he said to me, "How many fat swimmers do you see?" and
very you're little. Like, okay, and then I'm becoming a swimmer.
Very little. But when I was losing weight as fast as I was, doing the hot classes really put me over the top and really increased my body fat and losing the body fat and pushed me over that plateau mark.
Nice. Like, what's the mentality between the early morning people, the afternoon people? Like, are they morning people? Do you think, in a better position than the afternoon ones for losing weight, or does it not matter?
I don't really think it matters. I think it just basically has to do with their lifestyle, like if they have to work or their hours. But I've taught at 9:30, I've taught at 4:30, and I've had personally the same results with both of them. Sometimes, you have all day, like, and you're eating, you have energy, and then you go in and you rock it. Like I was teaching at 4:30 for a while and loved it. And that's one thing that I feel like hot Pilates has given me more freedom with what I eat. So it's not always just a calorie thing, but by adding those classes in, I have more freedom to like go out and eat, like things that I like, without having to gain weight from them. So there's like a whole nother level of just freedom in life with it.
And Pilates, like there's yoga, Pilates, and then HIIT, right? So that just means you're in a hot environment doing a different pattern. Right? Is that what Pilates is?
The Pilates is just like the core. It's more core work.
Okay, yeah. So it'll be more, I don't even know how to describe it, but like more like abs and sit-ups and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and then the HIIT one's going to be more weight lift, kind of like you're going to grab a weight and you're going to do a squat, a bunch of stuff like that. And then break down, what are the different types? Like, what are the classes and then what's different about them?
So we have at Alchemy, we have 3 class formats. So there's Ignite, Chisel, and Transcend. So Ignite is...
Because I show up to them randomly.
Yeah,
so
I know.
I feel
like
and I'm ready for anything.
Yep.
But
no, that's awesome.
I should know what I'm actually in for.
So Ignite is a blend of hot Pilates, which is core chiseling, exercises, obliques, core, back. It's all centered around the core. There are other exercises we do, and then it also has barefoot boot camp exercises in there, which is typically we only do like 5-pound dumbbells in there, but you can go heavier if you want. Like Jordan will pick up heavier weights.
Oh, dang. How big do you go? 20?
15.
Dang.
I mean, most of the exercise is more about flowing and working with your own body weight in Ignite. And then we have the flowing like yoga transitions. And then the second format is called Chisel. So that's more personal training style. We go heavier weights. We grab all the, the heaviest weights. I typically do the 5, 10s and 15s and go up in weight each set. So it's like progressing and then we do 3 rounds. So it's more, like I said, personal training style. And then the HIIT is when you're doing like high intensity interval rounds. Like if you do squat jumps for 8 or 16 counts. And so that would be a HIIT round. And we do those rounds in both of those classes.
You think that's the hardest if you had to rank the 3?
Ignite and Chisel are about the same in intensity. There are definitely the challenging classes. That's where you're going to be hitting that 450 to 500 calories for women and 800 to 1,000 for men. And then Transcend is more just a few yoga flows to kind of get your blood flow going, and then some core work, mat Pilates, and then some yin stretching.
800. That's a whole sandwich.
And then we do have booty yoga as well at Alchemy. We're
I've done that once. Yeah.
the only yoga studios in Las Vegas that has it. So it's fun.
Yeah.
It's definitely more of a feminine workout, though.
If anyone needs to understand how to do that class correctly, I've been through one, so I can tell them. It's great. Yeah, like I said, that was the problem with showing up randomly. It's like, oh, this is going to be a good class. But I went through that, and it was like a lot of, I don't know, I got through it, whatever. Luckily it's dark enough in there that I was far enough back, and I was like, I'll just get through it. But yeah, I'm going to take Matt to that.
The women love it.
That'll
the
be
women
fun.
love it.
Yeah, it's definitely not quite the right one for me next time, but now I know.
I haven't done that class yet.
Yeah, well, if you need expertise.
You said yet.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So for our closing question, can you just let people know where they can actually take some of your classes from?
It's under alchemy.las.vegas.
Wow,
and we have
beautiful.
our first week free link up there. So just click that, get the first week free, and come check out all the different formats, and show up ready to sweat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Bring an extra pair of clothes too, for
Yes,
sure. We have beautiful
definitely.
locker rooms. You can take a shower afterwards. So
Yeah, and that's cool too, because it's like a female-owned business, and you're the entrepreneur and owner. So I think that's really cool if they want to get to know you personally. So tell me about that. You also decorated this place. What was your design thinking? Like, I know you came in and just saw a room with wood floors. So how did you kind of come up with the style of the room?
yeah. So when I walked into the room, the first thing I noticed was I loved the wood floors. So I played everything off the floors. I just took everything out. And then I matched the wall colors to bring out the colors in the floor. So it was more of like the grayish, dark grayish with a hint of blue to it, a hint of navy to it. So it wasn't black. And then I got the ceilings nice and dark as well, so that they would blend in with the infrared heater. So it looks really sexy, and then blacked out all the windows, so it's nice and dark. I love working out in the dark because I feel like I can get in a zone and people aren't staring at me or not staring at people and their eyeballs in the mirror. And so you can kind of just zone out, which is nice. And then if people kind of want their own privacy and they don't want to feel like, especially if they feel insecure or, they're getting used to the room.
Yeah, I appreciate the dark for sure.
Yeah, but then as soon as you open the doors, we have a balcony overlooking Tivoli Village. So I redid the floors and covered the tile floors with a nice wood that kind of flowed out from the room, and then put some nice, nice cozy furniture out there so the students can go outside and get some fresh air, talk on some business calls, do whatever they want, chit chat with each other on the balcony as well after class.
Nice. Yeah, I like the warm lighting and just sort of the ambience of the kind of rope lighting around the bottom. Mm-hmm. Very cool.
I love designing things and making them pretty. That's one of my favorite things to do.
Really? Well, you did a great job. Yeah, it's definitely got a whole aura to it. I mean, I remember that room before you took it over, and it was just a room. And now it's like, wow, it's got such a vibe when you walk in.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Awesome.